Greetings to the family. This is your brother here at the Artist Journal, Samal, once again for another episode. For those of you who are here for the first time, I want to say welcome to the platform. And all of those who are already on board, welcome back to the family. Welcome back to the tribe. This is our digital space where we could just come, chop it up, and keep it moving. We love to showcase our trips from around the world, also cool adventures and that we get ourselves into. We like to share that with the family, and also artwork and cool entrepreneurs that add value to our situation here on planet Earth right now. We love to showcase them and kind of pull from their energy. So again, if you're here for the first time, welcome to the platform. Go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, family. Help us to become one of your favorites. And let's get into it. The topic at hand, this fool, this crazy man, the top man out of France, he called himself Macron. He's been leaning on Mali. He's been leaning on Burkina Faso, the young brother Ibrahim Traoré. If you're keeping up with news as it pertains to West Africa, you would see that Niger, Mali, and also Burkina Faso have united forces, and they're pushing back against foreign powers. They're pushing back against France, particularly. We're dealing with France today, and the comments that Macron said in a recent presentation that he did. So if you want to wake the sleeping giant, this is how you do it. This is a classic case. So we're going to jump in, family, and we're going to critique some of his words. So give me 1 second as I get this guy up on the screen. So let's take a look and listen to the hornet's nest that this guy is stirring up.
Senegal and Chad have reacted strongly after French President Emmanuel Macron said Sahel countries were ungrateful for the role France played in fighting jihadist insurgencies. Let's listen to what he
I'm going to let it play, fam.
had to say to ambassadors in Paris.
We had a relationship based on security. On one hand, our commitment to fighting terrorism since 2013. We were right to do so. I think some have forgotten to say thank you, but that's okay. It'll come in time. Ungrateful.
So you mean to tell me the reason that they was in Africa was because they was helping our people fight terrorism? No other reason but that. They didn't want the resources. They didn't want position. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. We're not stupid, man.
Ungratefulness, I know all too well, is a disease that is not transmitted to humans. But I say this for all the African heads of state who have not had the courage, in the face of public opinion, to hold that view. None of them would be in a sovereign country today if the French army had not been deployed in this region.
What do you mean? All they had to do, all these European powers had to do was just leave Africa alone. We already sovereign. We didn't need the Berlin Conference to come in and start dividing lands amongst the French, the Belgian, the English. We didn't need none of that. So what are you talking about? These people are really out of their mind. Like, the sleeping giant is waking up.
And in response, Chad's Foreign Minister Abderrahmane Kaloumala said Macron's comments had revealed his contempt for Africa. Senegal's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko also said France had in the past contributed to destabilizing certain African countries such as Libya, which had disastrous consequences for the region's security. Now, Chad, Senegal, and Ivory Coast have recently ended security agreements with France, while Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger told French troops to leave following coups. Now, to discuss this more, we're now joined by David Otto, who is an international terrorism consultant, and Dr. Muhammad Suleiman, the founder of the Center for Alternative Politics and Security in West Africa. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'll start with you, Dr. Suleiman. What were your initial thoughts on President Macron's statements? Does he have a point?
Thank you very much. Well, anyone who knows the history of France in Africa will understand Macron's statement as representing a geopolitical frustration, if you like, with African countries that have been under French tutelage for decades. From a realist perspective, at least, one can also understand that France's exit from these countries would be a big blow to the country's global reputation. Also, we should also understand that Macron was talking to diplomats. So some of these comments, I guess, from that perspective was expected. However, this is not to justify those comments. His comments reflect, I believe, a condescending, as many would agree, a reminiscent of colonial rhetoric, I guess.
His comments, family, was condescending. Why? Because they don't respect Africa as a whole. They don't respect these dignitaries that's in so-called high positions on the continent. If you have raped and plundered Africa for centuries, they don't look at you as an equal. So that's why where you have the young brother in Senegal, the young brother in Burkina Faso, they reaching out to other West African countries. You see them uniting. That's a threat to their very existence. If you understand, France is a very small place that's dependent upon Africa and her resources. They sucking the blood out of a people. But because we pushing back, all of a sudden, it's a big problem. Absolutely, they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight. But the thing about Ibrahim, which I love, he saw what happened. He's a historian. He saw what happened to Lumumba. He saw what happened to Nkrumah. You understand? So he knows how vicious these powers that be can throw down. So he's not naive to any of these things. So he's playing chess at a very high level. Let's get back to it.
Undermining the sovereignty and agency of African nations. The statement also disregarded the significant sacrifices of Africa and contributions of African nations in the very same counterterrorism efforts that he is referring to, I guess.
Right. David Otto, what were your reactions for this? And would you say that the French presence in the Sahel has really contributed to the fight against terrorism in that region?
I think it's very important to set aside the statement that President Macron made. And, and this is from a counterterrorism perspective. And someone who understands, like myself, I do understand how counterinsurgency works, from a global coalition point of view. Now, when a country enters into a security agreement specifically to provide support, in terms of material, in terms of personnel, knowing and bearing in mind that, the fight against insurgency is a global effort. It cannot be defeated by one country, be it an African country or be it a French country. So this is a collaboration and coordination effort. And in that sense, it therefore means that, the president, is right in saying that, there hasn't been any appreciation from that counterinsurgency collaboration point of view. Now, in terms of, looking at the other elements, which of course, has historical elements, or for example, the president mentioning that, without the help of France, there wouldn't have been, any sovereign state. Now, that is something which requires more data, because of course, again, as I mentioned, the war against terrorism is a collaborative effort. Each country brings in their own level of support. Of course, France brings in its own support because, of course, if it doesn't defeat terrorism in Africa, then there is also a chance that the same threat will be deployed towards the French, like we've seen the French celebrating the Charlie Hebdo massacre by jihadists 10 years down the line. So it tells you that on one hand, the president is right in saying that, of course, he would have expected.
Negropeans, boy, there's something else. We understand that it is the European world that is the biggest terrorists on the planet. They are the only ones who have been recorded throughout history to have dropped an atomic bomb. The Mid-Atlantic slave trade, do we have to go there, family? Over 400 million people went off into the Mid-Atlantic slave trade, never to be found again. For over 400 years, this happened. Ransacked Africa, took all, what terrorism are we talking about? Okay, let's say, for instance, that the French positioned themselves to help these regions push back against terrorism. Okay, let's say that. What's in it for them to do that, though? That is the question at hand. Why would France assist Burkina Faso and other regions in pushing back these so-called terrorist groups? It's called, family, the problem, reaction, solution. You create a scenario, you create a problem, and then you watch and sit back and look at the people's reaction. And of course, people don't want to be in no drama or confusion, so you come with the solution. And those who have come with the solution, we rally behind them, but not knowing they are the ones who created the problem. So then you have brothers like this brother who speaks so eloquent English, you know, get out of here, man. The sleeping giant is waking up.
There's some kind of a thank you from these African nations, for collaborating, just like any other African or any other country that has collaborated. But the statement, regarding sovereignty is something that has to be looked into very deeply.
Dr. Suleiman, I know you'll have a reaction to that, but even as you respond to that, do you think it was smart, or what do you think would be the reaction to Emmanuel Macron's statement, especially the timing of it all, when France is already losing a lot of influence in that region?
Yes, that is actually a very important way of looking at exactly what he said. One would think that his comments, he would take more conciliatory approach towards African countries in a way of getting them to maybe extend the presence of French military in these countries. Now, my colleague is making a point of the justification of African countries saying a thank you to France. But these other countries, those are the Sahel trade, at least, and also Chad, Ivory Coast, and Senegal, they are not looking at the time between 2012 from Operation Serval to this G5 Sahel. They are looking at time before that. They think that that was not the start of French presence in these countries, and that France has been in these countries since the colonial, the immediate, post-colonial era. So, and that point about sovereignty, there are so many, African countries that have similar security, situations, and they are still retain their sovereignty. And France doesn't have to be in an African country for that country to be sovereign.
All right, and W. Otto, how then do you see these relations between the Sahel countries and France developing as we move forward?
Yes, I think it's going to be a matter of bilateral agreements. But of course, reviewing of approach and rules of engagement between these African countries and France. Times have changed.
Yeah, you're right, my brother. Times have changed. No longer should we be even dealing with France. For what? For what reason, family? Sever our ties with France and keep it moving. We don't need them. They need Africa. This political guy here, man.
And timing is everything, and everything is all about timing. But I think what we have to be very cautious about, in terms of the way that the French relationship is being looked into at every nook and cranny, is the fact that the president here, and without justification, was referring specifically to the security agreements to fight against terrorism. And this is far away from the political and economic relationship, that France has had, talks about imperialism. That is a topic for another day. But what is very critical is that the president specifically talked about the collaboration between France and these African countries in the fight against terrorism. And if France, as we know, has been able to help these countries in.
Yo, I'm tired of listening to this buffoonery, man. This is crazy. We understand that terminology, terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, all of these, like it's just a ploy to cause fear and to have foreign countries come in and take everything. So I'm done with this guy for the day, fam. I'm done with this guy. So as you can see, the sleeping giant, when you speak like that towards Africa, like we're not grateful or thankful for allowing you to come in and rape us of everything we have and leave us with your Bible and take everything. You understand? Like, we are able to see the game now. We've been dancing in a circle for years upon centuries. We are tired. And the sleeping giant is awakening. So stay tuned, family. Brothers like the young president in Senegal, brothers like Ibrahim Traore, and even now the president of Ghana, the president of Mali, Kagame of Rwanda. I know he has some issues, but that energy he had initially, to make Rwanda a first-class country, these are the kind of leaders that we have to wrap our arms around and support. I'm not here to say sever all ties with these Europeans, but what I am saying is that we have to deal with home first. And if we so choose to sit at a table with them, it has to be on our terms going forward. You understand? So I just wanted to, man, share a few things that's floating around and give my perspective here on the platform. This is our platform where we can come in and drop some comments and exchange energy and, things of that sort. So for the new guys, for the new folk that's here for the first time, want to say again, welcome to the platform. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel as we grow out this beautiful platform. So before I want to get out here, I want to plug myself and Jessica at the Palm Trees and Silver company that we do have in the Gambia, where we source sterling silver, 100% family. As you can see, I got on one of our pieces now. This is our Mama Africa bracelet. I have the palm tree vibe on, and we do have the lion tag. You see the palm trees on there. So go ahead in the description below, tap on it, and it'll take you straight into the website. Place your order for your lady, your queen, your husband, your daughter, your son. Help us grow, fam. That's all we asking. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's presentation here at the Artist Journal. We will be back with you in a couple of days. So I'm tuning out. Just to tune back in, family. Jano. Peace out.